So the Miami Dolphins play a very interesting game against the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday at 1 p.m. at Hard Rock Stadium. And they might have to do it without some very key starters. We'll discuss that on Dolphins in Depth. Joining me is Isaiah Smalls, Miami Herald Dolphins beat reporter. I am Omar Kelly, Miami Herald columnist. Isaiah, we know that Tua was battling a hip injury. We learned it was an injury, not the same injury, but an injury to the same hip that he suffered at the University of Alabama. It's not viewed to be serious. He also battled a thumb injury to his throwing hand. We don't know the significance of that. He is going to play. Everybody says he's going to play. He's taken the majority of the reps in practice. So that's not that really much of a story, except we wonder how much it's going to impact him. Maybe the velocity, maybe some, RPMs off throws. The one injury that concerns me, there are a couple, is Aaron Brewer. Aaron Brewer has probably been one of the two bright spots on the Dolphins offensive line. He's battling a pectoral injury, which limited his participation this week in the media sessions that I watched today. Did not do any work, was basically dressed in gray sweatsuits, watching, resting. Pecs are very interesting injuries because you have no idea how long it's going to sideline you. That's your chest, your little titty meat right here, just in case you didn't know. Imagine a defensive lineman stabbing you in your titty meat. We obviously you could play with some braces, but there's a lot of stress and strain on the offensive line. I heard that Brewer said he's playing. Mike McDaniel says, I hope he's playing. He's a captain. They clearly need him. But what happens if he doesn't play, Isaiah? What happens if the medical team decides that too much risk?
I mean, it's officially the Daniel Brunskill show, right? And to me, that's not a good sign, considering that would be the third offensive lineman that you've lost, starting offensive lineman that you've lost. Like, it's at this point, it's just really unfortunate. Like, I can't even begin to imagine how frustrating this is for a Mike McDaniel, for a Frank Smith, because you spent all offseason building this team, and now this isn't the team that you have, right? And not only that, you're winning
the game.
I understand that.
You don't hear nobody crying about the Chargers losing their two starting offensive tackles.
Yeah, but the Chargers are markedly better than the Dolphins. Unfortunately, that's just the situation, right? You come out 3-0. Obviously, you drop two back to back, and that's, of course, you have an issue on your hands. But hey, man, they're 3-2, and looking to be 4-2 on Sunday, right? So I think it's really unfortunate. I think the best case scenario, right? Aaron suits up, he plays, and he's not obviously 100%, but even 70% of Brew is probably better than whatever you got, right? So, I like Brew. I see him anytime I see him in the locker room. I tell him he's one of my favorite players to watch because he really clearing out people. Like, some of my favorite clips this year have been him blindsiding opposing defenders, right? So it would be very unfortunate. He's definitely one of those guys that's the heart and soul of that offensive line, in addition to just being a big leader on that offense, right? So they 100% need him, 100%.
Yeah, we also have the injury of Tyrel Dodson, who suffered a concussion last week. More than likely, the Miami Dolphins are going to have new starting inside linebacker pair with Jordan Brooks. I think it's going to be a platoon of KJ Britt and Willie Gay sharing that workload. But also not just that, but Cornell Armstrong, the second of the nickel cornerbacks behind
Jason Marshall Jr.,
who
I saw had a huge wrap around his hamstring. I believe yesterday or the day before. I don't know if you peeped that. It was ginormous. Like, I never seen one of those. I guess it was ice. But it looked like, like the pictures of like LeBron after the game where he got those big bags of ice on his knees. He basically had that on his hamstring.
It's called game ready. Here's the thing about losing Cornell Armstrong. and most people didn't know this, but he was not just a veteran core special teams contributor, but he was playing pretty okay or respectable at the nickel spot. Yeah, Minkah came in there at some point, but now all you got is Minkah. And not just Minkah, but Ife Melifonwu has experience playing some nickel as well, going back to his days in Detroit. Minkah's playing nickel, maybe Ife's playing nickel, but also you lose your green dot player. For those who don't understand what a green dot player is, it's the player who has the headset that communicates with the coaching staff, communicates with Anthony Weaver, and gets the calls that he gives to the rest of his teammates. And he is the quarterback of the defense in terms of what he decides, what he determines is what everybody runs. Everybody needs to be on his script. Been doing, man, some reporting, some investigating, trying to figure out who's going to replace the green dot. Woo! Basically, nobody wanted Isaiah.
That's unfortunate.
Which is why it shows you that you need to put some respect on the people who actually do wear the green dot, because Jordan Brooks has said on a number of occasions, I don't play very well when I have the green dot because I need to be processing, thinking about my job as opposed to what everybody else is doing. Today, talked to Minkah Fitzpatrick, who basically said, yo, I'm paraphrasing here. I'm asked to do a lot. I've never won the green dot. It's going to be hard for me to be back there 30 yards downfield, have to run up, come on, give everybody a call, make sure everybody's coordinated, and then run back. You know, it is what it is. Yeah. And, you know, so that kills the theory everybody, including you, have had. Yeah. That, hey, let's give Minkah the green dot. Minkah was like, hell no. And Willie Gay wore it once. His second year, he said, I was a young player. I ain't know what I was doing. And KJ Britt, because he played with Levante David, clearly wasn't the green dot player. So how do you see, in your opinion, this green dot situation playing out?
To be honest, because of the platoon aspect, right? I believe I'm kind of in the same camp as you, right? That I think they're going to play it by down, distance, whatever the situation is, right? So, and we say that because KJ Britt, you know, you look at his stats, you see what he provides on the field. He's more of a run stopper, right? Like that's his ideal position, right? He's going to want to stop the run. Not the best when it comes to pass coverage. However, that's where Willie Gay Jr. excels, right? And so to me, I think it makes the most sense to do some sort of, you know, just swapping situation, right? Which means one of the requirements of the green dot guy is someone that is going to be on the field for essentially all three downs, right? So that being said, to me, you would have to give it to Jordan Brooks, right? He is a guy that, you know, to your point, hasn't necessarily wanted it, but I talked to him, you know, one-on-one afterwards and was like, look, like, you know, did you just confirm to me that you are going to be wearing the green dot? He's like, look, I don't know what it's going to happen in the game, but I've been doing it in practice. So you know, hopefully, you know, that's the situation, right? So to me, it makes more sense to give it to him versus, you know, McDaniel said something today about having a bunch of guys rotate in and doing that, is that now everyone has a little bit of experience doing it. However, to me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to have the guy calling the plays come out, right, and send another guy in with a play. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like that's too much back and forth. There's
I think he was talking about mainly practice, doing it, trying and experimenting with guys during practice. And that would help them be on a better page communication wise.
That would make a lot more sense for sure.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I agree with you, especially now that I know Minkah don't want it. Maybe it goes to Dante Trader. I don't know. I don't know if Dante Trader's on the field.
That is, but see, that's a very interesting point that you bring up, because he is a guy that Weaver has been very effusive with his praise with, right? You know, specifically saying that he is going to be one of those guys that is going to be a coach on the field by the time it's all said and done, right? So, but to me, again, like, why give it to a rookie that, granted, you believe that he might one day get there. However, like, he's still adjusting to the speed of the game itself. Like, Dante Trader, to me, has been one of the better rookies. However, he's not, free from mistakes, right? He gave up the third or fourth down conversion last week, right? It was simply him, just playing poor coverage, right? So to me, I think you want to give it to a guy that is, to both of our points, to the point of the coaches, you want to give to a guy that's on the field for all three downs, right? So that, to me, lends itself to Mr. Jordan Brooks, right? Point blank, period. I think that it's going to be Jordan Brooks. Unfortunately, as he said, he doesn't necessarily play well with it. It's the reality of the situation, right? You have to step up because other guys are down, right? And I think it's terrible, right? When I tweeted out that, he's willing to accept the responsibility, a lot of people were like, oh, what kind of captain shies away from responsibility? And it's like, y'all, to your point, I don't think you guys understand how complicated this is, right? There is a clip that I saw earlier today, right? Basically is Levante David talking to Gruden, and he basically is explaining what he hears in his headset, right? Or in his helmet, right? And it's a long call. And if you are someone that is over analyzing stuff, right? Saying, okay, they came out in 12 personnel, which means they're going to do this and then this. You kind of also have to tune that out and be like, hey, coach, like, I'm good. I got it, right? And then, think about not only communicating the play to everybody else, making sure everyone's aligned properly, then you also have to do your job, right? It is a lot of responsibility, right?
And if they move, you got to make the checks and adjustments.
You got to make the checks. And, like, it is a lot of responsibility that doesn't necessarily come with an added benefit, right? It's not like you're getting paid more because you're the green dot guy, right? So I just want everyone who
y'all know I'm the green dot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most of y'all don't even know Tyrel Dodson is the green dot.
Saying. Yeah. So I just, to me, like, to think that, oh, guys are shying away from the responsibility is the wrong way to frame this, right? In reality, you want to have somebody that is not only going to be on the field for the majority of the snaps, but is comfortable communicating to everybody and then also playing fast, right? There's a lot of guys that can't do both, right? Some guys just want to play fast. It slows them down. And I just, a quick little comparison, like, imagine, they're giving you more work, right? You have to do more work and you're not getting paid for it, right?
Welcome to journalism. What are you talking about?
Exactly, right? Exactly. Right. Now they're stepping into our shoes, right? So it's the reality of the situation. You can't knock a player for not wanting it, but it will be very noteworthy, especially because this defense is already struggling, right? So how does this affect that?
Oh, it drastically affects that.
That's what I'm saying.
It drastically affects that, as does everything. Let's hear from Minkah Fitzpatrick on the challenges that he faces kind of cross-training and playing the nickel spot.
Totally different position, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's some intricacies that are the same and some skill sets and techniques that are the same, but it's a different position. You get to be a little bit more in the mix. It's a little bit more physical at times, and like you said, I played it for most of my career, so it's something that I enjoy doing.
What's unique about Justin Herbert from your perspective?
What's unique about him? I don't know if I could pinpoint one thing that's unique about him. I think he's a really good quarterback. He's a really good leader of that squad. There's nothing that he can't do. There's no throw that he can't make. He does a lot with his legs. He has a lot of talent around him that he can get the ball to. So I think he's a prototypical good quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
He's been pretty willing to take off the run, especially this year with that tendency and his arm strength. Does that change the way that y'all have to cover there in the secondary?
No, not really. I mean, we gotta cover. We gotta make sure our eyes are in the right place, and honestly, handling the quarterback and keeping him in the pocket is the job of the front four, front seven. How many are rushing? And then when you got guys who are rushing from the secondary, we got to do our job at containing him. And then in the back end, it's just staying sticky throughout the coverage. If we're in zone, it's finding a guy once he does start moving around. It doesn't change too much. Makes it more difficult, but it doesn't change much.
Has there been a difficult adjustment of changing teams for a second time? And if there is, what has been the toughest part of the process?
Nah, it hasn't been tough. I'm in year 8, and I played a lot of football, seen a lot of football, and football is football at the end of the day. So.
Football is indeed football, and Minkah is being paid handsomely to do that. I think he came down with an interception last week. I know based on experience, Minkah would prefer to be back there at free safety, roaming and trying to make impact plays. But at this point, I think he's aware he's needed more at the line of scrimmage. And that's where the Dolphins are having tremendous amount of issues as a team in terms of stopping the run. Only one team in the NFL is worse than Miami at stopping the run, and that's a problem. A lot of that problem falls on the hands of or the head of the rookie defensive tackles, Kenneth Grant, Jordan Phillips, as Jonas Savaiinaea is also struggling on the offensive line. I mean, pretty much everybody except Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer are struggling offensive line wise. I thought they could run the ball, but apparently, Carolina Panthers showed you what time it was. Isaiah, at what point do you get worried about the rookies?
I think if I'm going to get worried, granted, there's a lot of football still left, but if we're 3/4 of the way through the season and I haven't seen any sort of flash, to me, that's kind of worrying. And the way I ultimately judge rookies is I'm looking for a little bit of flash, right? I just want to see that whether it's a play, it has to be a play. I want to see like a play that somewhat justifies your draft selection, right? And usually it's a highlight play, but for the defensive tackle position, right, and what he's asked to do, it's not going to be something that's going to make the Sports Center top 10.
Just don't get moved off the line of scrimmage.
And look, that's what I want to see an improvement in. I don't want him getting thrown 10 yards back off at the line of scrimmage, right?
It ain't 10, Isaiah. Stop exaggerating.
I'm being a little bit facetious.
It's only 8.
Might as well be 10, right? Again, as Weaver said, like there's no scenario other than him in one of the maybe one play a game that he drops back right into coverage just to fool the defense, right, or offense.
Yeah,
there should be no scenario where he should be
on the linebacker's hip. Yeah,
exactly. So to me, I just want to see improvement in the areas that you were drafted to do, right? Stop the run. Right? Maybe affect the pocket. But right now, we're having issues stopping the run. So let's not even worry about the pass rush right now. I'm going to need you simply to just affect the run game. Right?
I'm not even,
Just affect the run game.
Here's Kenneth Grant addressing his rookie season struggles so far.
For sure, just simpling things down for me, just letting me roll off the ball and cause disruption like I was doing in college. So, I mean, the main thing is that he wants us for me to roll off the ball and not think it, just go.
What's if there was anything that surprised you about the jump from college to the NFL, what would it be?
I would say surprisingly, the pace of the game for sure, just how fast the players move, the hashes, and what to expect the backfield sets is. It's a lot more studying that goes into the game for sure.
You talk about playing through. What is it that sometimes can slow a player down? Is it overthinking and a lot of new things thrown at you, or what is it?
Just trying to guess the blocks you're trying to play and guessing like what type of runs they're gonna run and backfield sets and what they're gonna do here, and they do the other thing, and then you're just like the technique is bad, so that's the thing that can cause that.
What's been the adjustment from a physicality standpoint from college to pros?
They stay on the doubles longer for sure. Just it's a physical game, so you got to match the physicality. No matter if it's 2 or 3 people blocking, you still got to match it. That's my job, and that's what they expect.
Will coaches, how have coaches been telling you to match the physicality? I guess.
Just roll off the ball. I mean, I think coming out of my hips more, it's mainly just more technique and coming out of my hips.
Hey, G, I don't know if you answered this question already, but the defensive coordinator said today we're watching the film. I think Carolina ran the ball maybe 6 in the start. Do you guys feel that same frustration right now?
Oh yeah, for sure. We feel that same frustration. The main thing we're trying to focus on is just the run game. That teams are running the ball against us, and we got to fix that. So until we fix that, none of the pass really matters and things like that. So we got to really get the run game.
Yeah, I'm glad Kenneth Grant said it because I think this Dolphin fan base, they don't really understand it. Stopping the run is every defensive coordinator's, every defensive team's top priority every single game. It doesn't matter the opponent. Stopping the run, if you don't stop the run, you can't do anything else. And you saw that against Carolina. They just bludgeoned you to death with the ball. They weren't even throwing the ball to play catch up from a 17-point lead. I think doesn't matter. I'm not going to Joe Shad the situation.
Crazy straight.
This team, I go way back to when I first learned understanding concepts of a 3-4 defense because Bill Parcells and his people, Tony Sperano, they were the first ones to install the 3-4 defense. And while you might be hybrid, the 3-4 defense is the foundation of what the Dolphins do. That thing don't work without a nose because the nose's job is to take on 2 blockers. And when you have a center on your hip and a right guard driving you back, and then the center's chipping in, that's 600 pounds of force that you basically have to anchor against and not get moved. That's what Kenneth Grant's job is. And right now you get to see tons of clips where teams are game planning to double him and move him out the gap and have that back run right through that thing. And Anthony Weaver's blitzing in that gap. And, and when you blitz in that gap, if you're blitzing to stop the run, it's a bad sign. And if that blitz don't hit, you can have some big runs. And right now, the Dolphins are a faucet with a leak that they cannot stop. And it'll be interesting to see if they can stop it against the Los Angeles Chargers, who are down their 2 starting tackles, who are on to their 13 tailback. Not that matters. But it's not just the run game that they've got to focus on. Jonah Savaiinaea, and I hate to put this season's struggles on 2 rookies, but when you decided that you wanted to play young players, you knew that they were going to have some growing pains. I could say this. Mike McDaniel's teams over the previous 4 years, they rarely play rookies in significant roles. They play rookies in secondary roles, but not significant roles. They started this season playing 5 rookies in significant roles. And just about all 5 of them are struggling. Jonah Savaiinaea is one of those guys, the Dolphins starting left guard. This week, Frank Smith was asked basically from our own Barry Jackson to explain why Jonah Savaiinaea, who played everything but left guard during his collegiate career, everything but center and left guard during his collegiate career, is actually playing left guard now, and wouldn't his skill sets be more suited to play on the right side? And here's what Frank Smith, the offense coordinator for my Dolphins, had to say.
That's the easy solution. I think it's always just when you're a rookie, there's a process to it, and everyone wants it to be perfect and ready to go. So one thing is that he's very aware, he's confident about how he's going to play, and he's working to improve, like all of us are from last game.
And one follow-up on that. Learning, obviously, offensive line as a rookie is difficult enough. I don't know that we ever asked you or Mike, why did you all opt, I say this respectfully, obviously, why did you all opt to make it more difficult for him by putting him in a position that he hadn't played much?
I think is when you're really you're looking at like long-term vision and plan of basically, putting him on the same size as Pat, and then having those 2 guys building the chemistry and rapport that we hope to attain. And it wasn't necessarily looking at like, okay, the result now is looking towards what we could have for the future.
Frank, Yeah, that's pretty much the explanation why Jonah is at left guard. They hope that Patrick Paul and Jonah would grow and develop together and would give you Richmond Webb, Keith Sims kind of tandem duo that can grow together. And they intended for James Daniels, and Austin Jackson to play together, and they're both athletic, powerful run blockers. So maybe you can primarily run well from your right side. Unfortunately, the Dolphins have some injuries that have cost them 5 offensive linemen this season, and
if not more.
Yeah. And you haven't been able to see James Daniels and Austin Jackson on the field for more than 3 snaps this season. But who knows what can be and what can happen when everybody gets healthy. Maybe Liam Eichenberg comes back. I saw James Daniels in the locker room today, saw Andrew Meyer in the locker room today. Hopefully they're getting closer to being healthy. Meyer would have been the backup center and really was having a good camp till he got hurt his elbow. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact. What'd you say?
I was just saying a phenomenal camp. Yeah, he played well in training camp. Definitely looked like a future NFL starter for sure.
Against Kenneth Grant. Let's be real about it. It was against Kenneth Grant. Am I telling a lie? No. Okay. We saw a lot of struggles. We saw the pass rush getting off, and what is it now? It's all right. So I've learned my lesson from evaluating the Dolphins team, Dolphins versus Dolphins. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Sunday against the Chargers. I wrote a column, Isaiah, and I know you addressed it as well in the story. Sunday's game will make you think about what if for this franchise. What if Jim Harbaugh hadn't turned on your first overture back in 2011? What if you went after him in 2026, a season before he decided to leave the University of Michigan to go join the Los Angeles Chargers? Steve Ross vowed, if he's going to go to the NFL, I'm not going to be the one to hire him. And basically the world was thinking, why not? And also, what if the Dolphins had selected Justin Herbert with the 5th overall pick instead of Tua Tagovailoa? That was out there. Justin Herbert was healthy, and you didn't know how Tua was going to recover. And we still got the hip issue surfacing last year and this year. So the one thing Justin Herbert has proven that he's relatively durable. I think he's played 82 games in his NFL career. So hopefully Tua will get to that point where he can stay healthy for an entire season and be able to prove that he is durable. Now, heading into the final aspect of the show, let's prove that Isaiah has the Midas touch. Even though you Eagles last night, you were a little zoned out on me, man. You wasn't talking. You was quiet. What you a little stressed on that one?
Nah. I mean, I watched the game. It was obviously clear that they're missing Jalen Carter, and once Kenyon went out, I mean, their quarterback rotation is terrible outside of Kenyon, right? I don't know why they didn't try to re-sign or retain Isaiah Rodgers, who looks like a defensive player of the year candidate with the Vikings, right? Banking, I know why they wanted to bank on the younger talent, but it just isn't working out. Adoree Jackson needs to be cut. I don't know. It is what it is. But look, go ahead. I got the Midas touch. Go ahead. Give me the scenarios.
This might be the last game I'm going to pick the Miami Dolphins. I'm not very comfortable doing so, especially with the uncertainty of Aaron Brewer. In fact, let me not do it. Let me just buck the trend. I'm going 24-21 the Chargers. I'm just losing hope and belief and confidence and faith that Miami Dolphins will fix a problem and another one won't pop up. And right now you got too many challenges with Minkah at nickel and playing without Tyrel Dodson, maybe playing without Brewer, playing without the right side of your offensive line. Last week, you only got 19 rushing yards. So I think this is tough sledding at home. And this is when you start putting off those lifeboats off the Titanic. And every man save themselves. Where you at with your prediction?
Yeah. Okay. Me, I'm definitely going the same way. 27-20. Yeah, 27-20. No, 20. Yeah, 27-20 Dolphins. I'm sorry, Chargers. It's 27-20 Chargers. If Brew doesn't play, I feel like this game is going to get ugly. You're missing, one of your better offensive linemen. The other, three guys haven't been, great. Patrick Paul obviously has been pretty solid, but yeah, this is it. Especially if you can't look. I have no faith in this team's ability to stop the run. And one thing we know
Until you
about
show me.
Harbaugh teams is he's going to run the ball, right? If he likes Hassan Haskins, I'm unfortunately got to predict a big day for him, right? So until you show me, I have no reason to trust you, right? So 27-20 Chargers. And at this point, the season, if it wasn't already over, I said that I felt like it was over.
You pulling the plug? You pulling the plug off after loss?
The little bit of hope, the small semblance of hope that was remaining after the Panthers lost, they go out there, lay a dud against the Chargers. All that hope is gone. So
definitely. On that note, Dolphins in Depth, we are going to be back on Monday to give you the.
I feel like it should have been pulled last week, but look, you're at home. The other team you're facing is banged up. You're banged up too, but the other team is definitely missing some star players. So
yeah, Dolphins in Depth podcast will be back on Monday to wrap up what happened against the Chargers. On that note, we are out.